going on, metalheads? Thank you all for tuning into this week's episode of the Metal Forge. My name is Mark Jackson. I am your host. Here we are on episode number 350. Holy shit. 350 episodes. I'm not really rolling out like all of the confetti and everything before this. So when I get to 400 or 500, yeah, I did it for 2 and 3. But anyway, as you can see, my guest this week, Brady from the band Conjurer over in, let me see if I get this right. Are you in Warwickshire?
That was so not great. Warwickshire.
See, we have Warwick Davis.
Yeah, for sure.
It's Warwick Davis, you know, and the bass. Warwick basses, and I'm sure over there they're Warwick.
For sure. Yeah, I live in South London, but yeah, we formed the band in the town called Rugby in Warwickshire, and I was born in Northamptonshire, which is like the next county over. But yeah, that was where we all went to school and kind of spent our time as kids in lovely. Yeah.
So, okay, I don't think you could get more like proper than that. Like, you're like better. You couldn't get any more, you know, how do you British?
Yeah, sure. It's that like quintessentially, like we would say posh would be the accent where it's not quite like the Queen's, you know, super over the top eloquent language, but it doesn't really have a thick accent. I feel like it's where we're in the Midlands, it's like right in the middle of the country.
Okay.
And like the accent is, I think, pretty neutral for the most part.
Well, what I was going to say, you couldn't get much more proper than straight up being from a town called Rugby and being British and everything, you know, because obviously it's such a big thing over there, the rugby and you know, your version of football versus my version of football being in the United States.
Yeah, well, rugby...
We actually just about 6 or so years ago got a minor league soccer stadium built in Louisville. Yeah, and I'm still yet to go to a game. And they're not packed. Don't get me wrong, they're not packed. I just, it's one of those things. It's like, have you ever sit there and have you like never checked out the local digs because you live there? And it's that thing.
We have there's a non-league football or soccer team called Dulwich Hamlet FC, and they are the South London team. It's a 5-minute walk from our house, and we only went for the first time a couple months ago, and we've been here for a year and a half. But so yeah, I definitely know what you mean. But we did actually go and see an MLS game when we were in Portland seeing my wife's family because she's American, and we saw the Portland Timbers versus the LA team that isn't LA Galaxy. But that was great. Like I have been a big football fan my entire life. More so now than when I was younger. But yeah, getting to go see a game over in the States was great. Like very different atmosphere, but very similar vibe.
That's cool. Yeah, ours is an FC team as well. It's Louisville City FC is what they're based out of. And what's so wild is like you said, it's the same thing, but it's a different vibe. I've got a friend who is over there as well. He plays in the band Seven Sisters and constantly is like LFG game day. He's like, and it's like, he has like season passes, I guess. Yeah. And he's like, oh, I got to take the train to this one. And it's like, son of a bitch. He's like going the whole time, which is cool. So anyway, as I said, Conjurer, you're here with, and you all are putting out a new album. By the time this is released, it'll be the day of on October the 24th. But obviously, new albums and such like that, anytime a band can get together and do something and then continue doing it, especially where it's multiple releases, that's awesome. But for everybody out in Metal Forge land who this might be their first time um, being made aware of Conjurer, give me the dime store tour.
So we formed in 2014, and it was kind of born out of Danny, the other guitarist vocalist, and I. We grew up on like modern metalcore, so your Bullet for Valentine and Trivium were the kind of like era of bands that got me into metal, and
Mm-hmm.
so I played in metalcore bands for years and got so sick of the music, but also the like attitude and the lack of community within that scene. And it was all about who was the coolest and how many tickets you could sell and yada yada, where your name was on the lineup as opposed to, how good your songs were. Like it was just
Right. The cred was more important than the quality.
yeah, for sure. And like trying to get gigs, it would be like, you'd contact a promoter in a town 2 hours away, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll put you on if you sell 50 tickets on a Wednesday night." And I'm like, "I've never been to this town, let alone, could have that kind of pull." And it was just all so not where we were at as people, and kind of this all coincided with me getting into Gojira and the Black Dahlia Murder and that kind of like next level up of heavy bands and the
Mm-hmm.
first kind of death metal bands I came into. And um when me and Danny met and started kind of hanging out and jamming, we were on this like verge of kind of like trove of discovery. So we were getting, you know, Converge and Yob and Electric Wizard and like all of the Danny was a couple of years older than me and like really a lot more knowledgeable on the kind of breadth of metal. So they got me into Down and um Mastodon, really. And just kind of like it was just this time of like explosion of creativity and finding new music together. And that kind of really set us on the path for what we would do with Conjurer, which is um, we're a heavy band that makes heavy music, but we have always kind of really refused to nail our colors to the mast in terms of genre or approach. Our kind of mantra has always been that we won't do the same thing twice and that we will make music that the four of us are really passionate about. So it's
Sure.
been a case of just seeing what happens musically. And I think it's cohesive enough. But people we get asked all the time, what genre are you guys and what do you do? We don't really think about that. We've gone by the moniker UK riff music for a while because we are from the UK and we make music with riffs. And that's
Yeah, and honestly, no, you're not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong in classifying that way because when okay, so about I'm going to blame the internet for this. So let's just say, like in the metal world, it really started becoming a more prevalent thing with the internet about 2004, 2005, 2006, around that time frame. And it almost seems around that same time frame that the over what's the word I'm looking for here? The oversaturation, maybe, or influx would probably be a better term. The influx of so many different genres.
Mhm.
It's like everybody around that time frame began to have their own genre based on what they did. And the reason I say that is because, like, if a band leaned a little bit too much into like Judas Priest, versus Iron Maiden in the power metal and heavy and trad metal side of things. It's like people would nitpick that, but it's like, more Maiden leaning, more Judas, and it's no different in things like metalcore and other genres of heavy music. So when I was getting ready for work this morning to do everything, I actually put on the new single that was released for Conjurer, and Let Us Live. And what was so crazy about it is just like I can definitely hear exactly what you're saying with the blending of UK riff metal, and I get that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it is like, when as you've grown as a musician and you say that you don't want to do songs the same way twice, you don't necessarily want to have that necessarily, gloom and doom or heavy and, shreddy or whatever, but ultimately, like, when you put so many different ideas. So taking for example, the song "Let Us Live" starts out very shoegazy to me, and I dig that because you know does when you had your formative years of listening to bands and stuff, did you ever think that that would be something that you would write, something where it is, it is discernibly to me shoegazy metal, but then it kicks in with the more heavy and the more like death driven stuff and whatnot?
I think that it's really hard because like I have not made a lot of music with people outside of this band. Like most of the before doing this band, I played in a metalcore band and we did an EP and some singles, and I played in a pop punk band and we did an EP. Like this, that's kind of been my experience, and that was as a functionally as a child. So, our way of working is really all I know. But from what I gather, it is quite unique in that there is no, at any point, there has never been a discussion of genre
Sure.
within the band and throughout the writing process. Like everything is based on feel and like sonically Danny will come to us with an idea, and it is mainly Danny that is the kind of the nucleus for whatever we're working on. They'll come to an idea and it'll be like either a riff and they'll be like, I think this riff is really cool and we'll agree or not and crack on from there, or it'll be a moody idea like the like Let Us Live. That track had a few different sections, and like the that intro, I feel like it's so sparse and it's so kind of like dour, and really that was Danny came to us with that and was like, that's the vibe that I want to do here. I want this to feel really spacious and really um kind
You
of
said
immersive.
you said dire. Wow, I was totally not going with dire on that personally when I was listening to it. I feel whimsical with it, like something about like airy parts like that. They just feel like floaty and like feeling the
Yeah,
vibe.
I
So
definitely
like
think
dour. Wow.
that it's interesting because it's I guess I mean to your point, everyone's interpretation of parts is going to be different, and that's
Sure.
what's so great about music. But yeah, for us, it's always been really about creating an atmosphere or an energy and like making it feel unique to that song. So yeah, there comes a time in the writing of an album where we'll look at all the material we've got and go, actually, this could use a fast one, or this could use a bit more of an injection of pace as you're listening to this collection of songs. That's always a nightmare because when we decide to sit down and try and write something specific, always a nightmare. We were trying to write faster songs for this record for quite a while, and it was only really when, the few faster bits came together more naturally that it happens. But yeah, when we go in with intention, it always feels forced. So it's really just a case of seeing what inspires people, what people feel passionate about, what people come to the table with, and then developing that on its own into a song. And, sometimes it doesn't work out. There's a few songs that got left on the cutting room floor because they were fine. Or, they had good elements that will keep, but didn't really coalesce in a meaningful way. And
Sure.
then from there, it's okay, we have this collection of songs that we feel are, each uniquely interesting or exciting or doing what we want them to do, then pulling them together for a record and going, okay, what fits together? How do we arrange this? It's that kind of process. So there's never been a outside of really, when we first started writing, we wrote a couple of songs that were pretty much, Black Dahlia Murder and Gojira rip-offs. That was all it was, and they were fun and they were cool, but they didn't feel unique at all. And then Danny came to me with Behold the Swine, the first song off our EP, and it was, 80% what you hear in the final song they'd just written on their own. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but like this energy, this sound, this feeling is like what I is the first thing we've written where I'm like, oh shit, this is great. And so that kind of reaction is what we're looking for in our music. We want it to mean something and to have some kind of emotional impact more than just, oh, this sounds like Metallica or this sounds like a band I like. And I think that
Sure.
was when I was a kid and when I was playing in all those other bands, it was going, I really love X artist, or I want to write a song like this, or I want to, emulate this, that, or the
That's
other.
very true.
Yeah, the approach has just been let's take whatever idea comes out and then do the justice or the most justice we can to that idea and develop it and see where it goes. And it's kind of as much about discovery as it is about intention, which is,
Sure.
yeah, I think I don't know if that's unique. I don't hear many people talking about
No,
right.
it's definitely different. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, that's definitely different. A different outlook than what I get with most people. I know a lot of people out there that when they come on and talk about like process
Mhm.
and things, they tend to there's two camps of people. They either flood their ear holes, I guess you could say, with whatever and everything, whether it's classic country, 80s goth synth pop, or heavy metal, or whatever, folk. And then there's the ones that don't do anything. They
Mm.
purposefully don't listen to anybody because it it clouds their creativity. I mean, so yeah, totally. I get what you mean there.
Feel like that front,
What's
no,
that?
I was gonna say on that front, I feel like we sit somewhere in the middle in that we all listen to a lot of music, but I think a lot of it is not in terms of seeking out things to emulate. Like I think a part of inspiration comes from, listening to other artists and seeing what else is out there. But I think that feels to me quite divorced from the process of creating. There'll be bits where, we'll be writing something and be like, oh, this is a little bit there's an interlude on the record that is quite Baronessy and definitely in writing that and in recording that, that was a band, them and Foxing and a few other kind of more folk artists that we referenced in terms of the sound, but there was never a
Mm-hmm.
point at which we were sat down and go, okay, let's try and write something that sounds like
Yeah,
XYZ.
and you do get a lot of people that say that. You know, why I like Painkiller, so I wanted a song that sounded like Painkiller, you know, or whatever. Yeah, I mean, that's a
That's
total
fine.
thing.
Hmm.
Um,
I say,
but
I
hell
think
yeah,
that's fine too. Like everyone has their own approach, and if you want to go out and you're like, I fucking love Motorhead, so I want to make a band that sounds like modern day Motorhead, and that's what fulfills
how
you.
could you tell?
But
Like, how could you tell?
oh shit, there it is. I didn't even see that. But like that I think is also a valid approach. It's for the most part not for me because if I want to listen to something that sounds like Motorhead, I'm probably just going to listen to Motorhead. However, that is something that people are into, and like as long as you're creatively happy and fulfilled in what you're
They're
doing, then
they're
like more
not a
power.
band anymore. They unfortunately they broke up due to some shit because state of the world.
Mhm.
But if you do like Motorhead, look up Poison Speed from Germany. They were fucking a killer fucking band that totally fits that biker thrash vibe. That's
Mm.
just like all out, balls out, or whatever you want to say. Fucking hell yeah. So okay, you'd mentioned something a minute ago, and I wanted to hit on this because being a musician myself, we're all creatures of habit. We all get stuck on a riff, and obviously, I mean, you can see. Well, there usually is a guitar. Better lift up here. There's usually a guitar here. Now there's a skeleton because of October spooky season, but I've always got one on the wall right here, and or a bass right here, and I can always grab one or the other and riff out. So as you said, there's songs that you all have written for things that maybe didn't make the cut of the final set of
Mhm.
songs. And going from there, once something is written like that and it being an idea, but because you're not officially released, how do you what's the oldest, first off, what is the oldest riff that you've used that, like, well, it didn't work on the first album, but you tried it on the second and it's still not, but you finally now, 2 or 3 or 4 years later, you finally are like, I think this would fit well here. But what's the oldest riff that you've done that with?
We had on the last record, the end of the song Basilisk, the kind of like breakdown that goes like over the bar in a few different kind of fun ways, plays with time. That was from a song that was called The Old Gods, that was like one of the like before our first demos. That was one of the songs that we played at our early gigs that had a load of cool ideas in it, but really had this amazing outro, and the rest of it was just a little bit too derivative. So we cut all of it and kept that outro. Couldn't make it work on the EP, couldn't make it work on the first album, and finally, album two, that yeah, someone brought it up and was like, all right, well, if we change X, Y, or Z and kind of move the chords around, but the core of the idea, if you could hear, I don't think there's any recording of what that original song was like, but the absolute core of the idea is
Oh, surely there's a live recording somewhere, right?
I don't think so. I don't think we
Dude,
couldn't play
I am a
it.
hound for that shit. I
Yeah.
am like, I try to document every fucking show that I play, just so, like, if in the off chance something fucking comes up and I'll be like, hey, I've got this, I could always release.
Ooh, I think I might have a demo, maybe.
Oh, see, that's cool stuff, man. Like,
Yeah.
the art, like that's the other thing. Bands are typically of two camps. Like how I sat there and said, there's the ones that listen to everything under the sun, and that's not a Black Sabbath reference, but it should be. And then there's the ones that don't listen to anything, but there's also those same people that do the exact same thing with with archiving their band. They either record and like archive every single thing or nothing at all, except for the albums and EPs and stuff, except
Right.
for the music. They don't take pictures, they don't do videos. It's like I
I
don't understand people in metal for some reason. It's like I don't understand how there's so many all or nothings.
That's true. I feel like that's why we have never felt super part of the metal, like straight up metal scene, because like we don't fit into any of that. Like I have a spreadsheet that recorded every single show we've ever played. But then like yeah, don't know what we played at some of those gigs, don't know, I don't have all the detail. I just have a venue and a date for the most part. But yeah, I it's interesting and it is like funny how, especially we've been doing this for over 10 years, and just like the gigs that stick in your mind for whatever reason, and then the ones that are completely just like lost to time almost. It is funny
Sure.
to go back through that spreadsheet sometimes and be like, I remember the idea of this show happening, but I cannot tell you a single thing that happened.
Right. Well, and honestly, I think that's a you know, it's interesting how we remember shows like that
Yeah,
because we either remember them for something extremely spectacular happening or something really shitty happening.
yeah,
And more often than not, it's the latter. It's we remember the shit shows the most
yeah.
because obviously we're musicians and I went through a time period where I had some people on this show that didn't understand what the question of a Spinal Tap moment was.
Oh man.
But now that it's come back around and they have a sequel film that has just come out, maybe the younger group will actually start to understand you know what it is. So like yeah, I think that's really the biggest thing is like, remembering shows usually is because hey, there were so many fucking people there or gosh, I can't believe I fucking fell down on stage at that show or whatever. And yeah, I totally grasp that concept. So now that the album coming out today on Nuclear Blast, when you were first off, when your formative years growing up and listening to said bands, like what we had mentioned earlier, and then putting out albums on a lot of their same, now being peer group to those
Hmm.
bands. How does that make you feel?
It's weird. It's something that like when I haven't thought about this, but I think it's quite I think it speaks to your mindset as a person. I remember emailing Metal Blade with my first metalcore band's demo, and in my head being like, right, well, I've sent that email. Within a week, they'll have got back. They're gonna love the songs. We're gonna get signed. It was like a done deal in my head. There was no way someone could hear that and not think it was like worth their time. And
Sure.
then when I actually started playing music that I was really passionate about and making this music with the band, I, we sent oh, it just wasn't on my radar to like get signed or to do this, that, or the other. I was just like, I wanna play gigs. I want to make this music that I love. When we went into the studio to record our EP, are like we discovered the record label Holy Roar that's no longer a thing in the UK, and like a load of our favorite bands were all on this label, and we were like up one night watching music videos in the hotel and just being like, one day it would be amazing to maybe get to put a record out on Holy Roar in a few years time. And the EP that we were recording at that time ended up coming out on Holy Roar, and they contacted either they contacted us or I emailed them. Like the people that used to run it were like, we don't take cold calls, we don't take, submissions. We have to get a recommendation from a friend. We have to organically just hear about the band through life, and we have to see the band on lineups with other bands on our label. And kind of if you hit all three of those things, then we're interested and we'll check out what you're doing. And we managed to kind of hit all of those things without really trying. I remember I sent them the demo and they were not super impressed. And then sent them the EP once we'd recorded it, and they were like, "Okay, we'd love to put this out." But like the the difference in mindset of being like expecting or really wanting or feeling like I needed to be signed to a label or needed that validation or felt like the band was going nowhere and we would get signed and that would our fortunes would change overnight as a kid to going into doing something that I was just really passionate about and all of that other stuff kind of just falling into place around that. I think that really speaks to um the approach being wrong for most of my life and I guess half of my life now. God, it's been doing this a long time now. But like the I think the mindset that you're in as a musician really affects what you're able to do, or at least how happy you are with whatever you do. I think that
Sure.
with country, if we hadn't been able to have all the success that we've had, I still would have had a really good time making music that I love with my friends. So like there is literally as long as you go in with that mindset, there's no way to lose. Then it also has made me so grateful to all the people that have taken chances on us and continue to support the band and allow us to make cool music with our friends. Like that is such a privilege. So the long way back to your question of how does it feel to like be on a label like Nuclear Blast, it is really overwhelming and something that I think we have worked really hard to get to. But it doesn't make or break being in the band. If Nuclear Blast dropped us after this record, I'd be like, thank you so much for your time and your effort, and we really appreciate it. We'll go and do something else now. Like
Right.
we're in this
And
for anything other than just the joy of doing it.
exactly right there. That's 100%. You know what it's about. And you do get those bands out there that completely talk shit, or they do something and get kicked off of fucking labels and shit like that. They just have, uh, you know, I can't even talk. They're just fucking dicks. No, no, and because you got to look at it as if it is a business partnership. You are both working together for the betterment of both of your businesses, the band and the label side of things, because the more and not to put just monetary value on things, because obviously we all would love to be able to just do this, whether it be me podcasting and playing in a band, then for a job, it's whatever, that passion that you want, that. But like, if you were to assign like the monetary value to it, it's like the more money that they're putting into something and expecting that return is the more that you should be striving to get that same
Mm.
equation for yourself. So yeah.
I
and
think
and go ahead.
I think it's one of those where a lot of the breakdowns in those relationships are down to the people. I mean, obviously, it's down to the people involved, but like we have only try and work with people that we feel good about and have a good
Sure.
relationship with. And like so much of the relationship we have with Nuclear Blast is based on respect and friendship, and it is like very, it's official, but like day to day it's very casual. It is very like easy, and I feel like we have the understanding that they obviously would love to make the money back that they spend on our band, and that is the goal. But truly, it is like their us doing well as a band is in their best interests, and us doing well as a band is in our best interest. Like everyone is aligned on that, and so more
And
so on this
honestly,
record.
they have some great tour packages.
Yeah, for sure. And like they have just been like, I think that there's no like there's the I feel like bands always talk about like the adversarial relationship between band and label or band and manager or all
Yeah,
of that.
the business side. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just feel like if you're aligned in what you're doing and you're doing it for the right reasons, then it doesn't need to be like that. Like it has never been like that for us with anything we've done. Admittedly, we're not anywhere near the point of making this a full-time living, but like there are large amounts of money that go into doing this. Like it's not nothing. We don't see any of it, but like it is not nothing. So it's
Okay.
like go on.
So here's my concept with that.
Hmm.
Anytime a band wants to, the to throwing out the idea of like doing this as a living,
Hmm.
and obviously there's bands that can do this as a living, especially when you look at, first echelon thrash bands like Metallica and Anthrax and Megadeth and Slayer. Those bands, those dudes are doing this for a living. They're all day, every day. They're picking up the guitar and are putting down something to tape for whatever amount of time, whatever. And then you've got the ones that I think everybody else kind of falls into, where if you make just enough money that the product that the entity of the band pays for itself and you're not really paying anything out of pocket, and you still have, work your day job kind of thing, and you still get to go on tour and play shows. What's the fucking what I mean, where's the fault in that?
That's where we're at. Like what I have always said to the everyone is that like what I want to get to is true break even. We're at fake break even right now, which is where the band breaks even on all the touring we do. We don't have to put our own money into doing it, and like, great, it carries itself along. The reason it's fake break even is because I don't make back the money that I costs me to go on tour, like all the food that I buy and the
Sure.
all of that stuff. So like I still end up out of pocket to go on tour. True break even for me is that at the end of the tour, when we pay all of our crew and pay off the van and all of those costs are done, we each get enough money to cover our costs for what it costs to go on tour, which it's not much, but the getting enough money back to do that in a very realistic way that then doesn't hurt the bottom line of the band moving forwards is such a big leap. Like,
Yeah. For sure
like
it is.
from there to then paying enough money to cover half of my rent every month would be insane. Like it is just such an unfathomably huge jump for a band that sounds like us. Like, could we do it? Yeah, maybe in 3 or 4 albums time if we continue to slowly grow and like do
Yeah,
that
you
organically.
meet your you match the trajectory. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But like, what am I gonna hold out on, you know, making on paying half of my rent until I've been married for 20 years? Like that's what that would look like.
Sure.
It
So let's break into that really quick. Obviously, where you're at in England, right? I always say United, look, for just so I'm like on the right page here. United Kingdom is Ireland, Scotland, England, right?
Uh, it is Northern Ireland, Scotland,
Northern
England.
Ireland,
Yes.
Scotland, England. Yes. And then
And,
just England is just England, just Scotland. Yeah. Okay. See, I'm when I say United Kingdom, I'm encompassing all of them. So
yeah, and then
cool.
Great Britain is the island that has England, Wales, Scotland, and the entire island of Ireland. That's just uh I think. I
The
don't
term
know.
of it.
Yeah, I would just we're in England and that's fine.
Okay. So my question is like when you're saying, doing like your rent and stuff like that. It's like what is like rent for you all there? Like like how much is it? Because here in America, renting an apartment is fucking ridiculous. It's like $2,000 a month type shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
in London, um, that is it's probably like closer to £2,000 a month. So you're looking at
wow.
what, $2,700 for like a apartment in like a two-bedroom apartment in a decent part of the city is that kind of price range. But then if you travel an hour and a half, 2 hours north to the Midlands, you can get a four-bedroom house for the same or less money.
Yeah.
Um, like a four-bedroom detached house with a yard and a garage. Like it is wildly different depending on area, but like it's so different in the US because like for us driving an hour is a long way. Like that is, enough of a difference to make a wild, I moved from my hometown to
Yeah, man, that's the rent thing. That's pretty much it's interesting because here is kind of the same way. It's, apartments in the, if you're in like New York or LA or something, you're really looking at more. You're really looking around to 2,500 to 5 grand a month, which is in fucking insane. But like here, apartment and condo life is fucking outstandingly expensive. But when you go and buy a house, unless, if it's just like what I have here, like a 3 bedroom uh style house, you can get it pretty fucking cheap, depending on, 700-800 bucks a month on your payment kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things I'd always wondered about because I was it always seems like there you have a lot more like family era homes,
Yeah.
especially like around like London and stuff like that. You have multiple generations living within the same home, or like this piece and this piece that all join together.
Yeah, for sure. Like I grew up on our house was like the end of a row of like 20 houses, and I lived in my mom's house till I was what, 28? No, like 27. But like, like much later than your typical work, because my parents were like, well, no, if you want to do music, like pursue that. Do not throw all of your money into renting a cheap apartment and like feel like you're chained to that. Like go and they encouraged me to spend my money on pursuing music, and it's got me to the point now where that is what I do full time, but it's because I work for other bands and I tour manage and I drive and I sell merch and I do all of the other stuff. But like it's yeah, how sustainable the idea of having a music career is in the current climate. It feels less and less sustainable every day, especially if you're trying to be an artist. Like
Sure.
there is no kind of middle ground.
Very much. And I'm glad somebody else has said that, because that's one of the things that I've always said is like the artistry of being in a band is so much farther behind everything else what has to be done to make anything work. And as you said, you're making a career out of being a musician, but you're not making a career out of being a musician playing music, but helping guide other people in doing the same thing, which that is really awesome. Uh, and I want to give a shout out to somebody who I know does the same thing as well, that completely works in music because he not only is his band like very much like yours, but is managing, is making sure things happen, making sure labels are met with, making sure albums are released on time, is Jarvis from Night Demon.
Mm-hmm.
And super more people in the industry need that. What you're
Yeah.
doing, what he's doing, because you have such a hands-on experience that it's not a person in a suit controlling a career from a desk. Your hands are dirty. You're out in it. You're slinging merch. You're booking to you're helping book tours. You're managing tours. You know, honestly, it's like the thing what Ian says in This is Spinal Tap. He's like, I'm locating mandolin strings in the middle of Austin, and for every one thing that goes wrong, 100 things go right, but everybody focuses on the wrong thing. Everybody focuses on the shit that goes wrong, per our what we were saying earlier.
Feels very true. But ultimately, I think that most of the people I work with, or no, all the people that I work with, because if I don't have a good experience with someone, I just won't work with them again. But everyone I work with is so grateful to have someone that is like just looking out for them. Like that's the job, right? Like
Yeah.
my job as a crew member, whatever I'm doing, is to make life easier for the artist, and it makes it so much more valuable when we then are able to hire crew and they have that same attitude, and like people work so fucking hard for me and my band that I am able to kind of like give that back. Feels amazing. So I think there is a lot of good within music, and there is a lot of like community and people that are just trying to do good work with good people and create amazing art and share that with people. But it's just about being, I think, just managing expectations, I think, is the hardest thing about doing anything with music, in that you've got to be going into it being happy to, if it's a career, it's working way longer than you're paid for and way harder than you're paid for, and like being happy to do that. Or if it's being in a band, it is like driving 10 hours to play a show to no one and paying for the privilege and having and being happy with that, like it is.
Okay, so I've done those long drives like that. Fuck that. uh, 6 is my cap now.
I feel
6 I'm good with. Dude, the last time one of my bands went on tour, we had a couple of 8-hour drives because hey, schedule over here, it's not that far. We'll make it work. Yeah, we've got until 6 p.m. to get there. Fuck, it's only 8 hours. Fuck, it's only 8 hours.
Yeah, it's 28 hours until hour three, and then you're like, okay, I don't want to listen to music anymore. I don't want to talk to any of these people. And you're just like staring down the tunnel.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, Dio forbid anything, or Ozzy forbid at this point, for anything like a city that has shit traffic. Those are the worst too. Like you're going through Chicago at rush hour, at 2:30 in the afternoon when there shouldn't be rush, but there is. It's everything. So before we switch over to Derailed here, what else do y'all have going for the rest of 25? What is Conjurer going to be doing?
Yeah, we've got a headline tour coming up straight after, I guess. It starts on Monday when this comes out. So we're doing the UK and Europe. We are putting out, also launched today, a collaboration beer with our friends at Queer Brewing that we were a huge part of, coming up with the concept. And actually, I spent a day in the brewery with them brewing the thing. So that
Hell
comes out
yeah.
today. Very exciting.
Does it
Um,
tie directly into the album release?
It's called Unself, and all of the branding is based on the artwork. And we kind of sat down and looked at flavor profiles and kind of like fruits that would match in with the color scheme and everything. So yeah, it's all come together really nicely. I actually, as we are, let's see if I can get the actual name On
Yeah,
the
if you can send me a label of it, I can pop the label on the screen.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's gonna be like a I think it's a blueberry
Ooh,
blackberry IPA. So it's kind of like
interesting.
somewhere in, somewhere in between like a sour and then like a standard lager. We wanted it to be sweet, kind of sweeter and more approachable, but while still retaining that kind of beery feel.
Sure.
We are a bunch of sweet boys for the most part. That was the
Now,
intention.
okay, so I guess that's the difference here versus there as well. So like a lot of IPAs over here are really really bitter.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So,
mean,
but like
very.
our ciders here are more like fruity and sweeter, but still have that beer taste. So derailed. Random questions about you as a person. Um, what does the world need your gifts for?
Christ, that's deep, isn't it? Um, I feel like I am put on this planet to facilitate people doing good things and to facilitate people following their passions. And that is something that I have become really passionate about and feel really privileged to be a part of. And be that like with my wife, like being there as a support system for her to kind of live her dreams through to the clients that I work with within music, and then like as in a within a part of my own band, like I do that for myself as well. Like, it's my dream to get to be in a band and play, and as part of the unit, I help facilitate that. So I think I'm a facilitator for positivity is what I
Oh, that's great.
yeah, feels good.
It, that is, and it should because that is awesome. Real quick side note, and I meant to ask this a minute ago. And so being a guy who does work for so many other bands and whatnot, as well as being in your band, has it made it easier for you working in your band?
Yeah.
Like what I mean is like somebody else gets to be the guinea pig and you say, well, let's book these, see if we can get this band going to Australia or Japan. And then once you get them going, that you're like, all right, now I know I can do it.
Yes and no. The main thing is that I'm like, oh, all the stuff that I've been doing for my band for a decade for free, I now get paid for, but I'm still expected to do it for free for my band. So I'm definitely a mindset thing, but I think
Yeah.
really what's lucky is the two play into each other. So like I would not be able to do my job if I hadn't done my band for a decade. And so all of that experience has prepared me to be able to do my job. And I get opportunities for the band and make contacts through doing my job that then feed into the band. And then when I'm on tour with the band, I meet people that give me opportunities that feed into my job. And it's like a very symbiotic relationship. So I would not be doing what I'm doing without doing the band, and I would not be as good at doing what I do for the band if I wasn't doing the job.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I have one more question, but before we
Yeah.
get to it, as always, links, they're listed below. You have likes, shares, follows, go do all the things, all the stuff. Go see them on tour because, as we just said, they're going on tour like on Monday by the time this is released. Thank you for coming to episode number 350. This has been cool. Anytime I love talking with any musician over across any that's outside of America,
Yeah.
like the United States in particular. Well, and it's not because I don't like talking to people here. It's like same of the same in a lot of the sense. We all feel like the foot on the neck or on the back kind of thing, and we're all just kind of like shit. But like having an outside perspective of everything is so on point. So thank you so much, Brady, for coming to the Metal Forge today. Do you have anybody you'd like to shout out or promote today before we go?
Yeah, I think for American listeners, my friend Nick Harris plays in a band called Armed for Apocalypse. They are from Chico, California originally, but now are based in Portland, Oregon. And they are like one of the biggest influences in Conjurer starting. Nick introduced me to my wife. He has been kind of a part of my journey from day one. I have nothing but love for that man and that band, and they are always touring and always out there. So, Armed for Apocalypse from Portland, Oregon, and my shout out.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I do want to give a couple thanks to, Nuclear for helping set this up. Uh, Kristen over there, she is so cool. Love the follow, love the follow on Instagram. She shares the little dog pictures and stuff. So, cool stuff. So shout out to everybody at the team over at Nuclear for helping set this up. And dude, thank you for doing this, taking time out of your evening and stuff. um, so my final question of the day, and we'd like to get these philosophical hypotheticals out there. Maybe questioning things that are, not necessarily, normal things that you would do in day-to-day life. But if you could make something that is legal to do illegal, and vice versa, something that is illegal legal, what would it be? Or what?
Legal for legal would be gambling. Like I am not. I definitely get into this a little bit on the new record. We talked about this quite a lot, but I feel like it's such a predatory industry that the fun of it outweighs the potential harms. I am, yeah, such a like I'm a huge Aston Villa Football Club fan, and I'm not gonna buy another shirt from them that has a gambling sponsor on it. It's just not what I'm about. So, yeah, I think that I don't actually believe that blanket banning things is but making things illegal is the best way of dealing with some of those issues either. But
Sure.
that's a question. Something that is illegal, legal. I mean, weed's still illegal in this country, so it would be that because that is
Okay.
such a joke of archaic legislation that does not benefit anyone as just fucking so rooted in racism and oppression and just fucking nonsense. The UK is one of the biggest producers of medical cannabis in Europe, and yet it is still illegal to smoke it here. Like,
So that's funny that you say that, because in the States, we're patchwork. We
mm,
have places that have medical use, we have places that have recreational use,
mhm.
we have places that have nothing.
Yeah.
And federal, and they're state wide. So like Illinois, Ohio, Michigan, all around where I am, Kentucky, those, well, Ohio, Michigan, and Illinois all have recreation use.
Mm,
Kentucky has medical use now, but Indiana, who has like the producer Eli Lilly,
mhm.
the pharmaceutical company in our state. Come on, they going to make that legal with major pharmaceutical being here? I doubt it. That's called
It's
legislation. That's called gerrymandering and shit like that. Stacking your courts and whatnot. But yeah, dude, I totally get you on that. But see, federally, it's all illegal. So if you were pulled over by a federal officer, you could still go to jail.
really that's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. Actually, one of the interesting things, well, Canada being a part of your country as well, legal there.
Yeah.
And because Anvil, the band Anvil, shout out to them as well. Love them. Legal at last. They got pulled over in Nebraska, and they have a song called "Nabbed in Nebraska,"
Huh.
and it's about getting pulled over with what? what was considered a criminal amount of marijuana. Dude, Brady, thank you so much. I appreciate you doing this. On our way out today from Conjurer, music video. What do you want to play out?
You should play the music video for All Apart because that comes out today. Well,
Fuck
the 20
yeah.
on release day. So there you go.
Hell yeah. Here it is, All Apart. Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. I really
Hey metalheads, you like tattoos? Of course you do. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, come on over the bridge to Clarksville, Indiana, and get you some ink done at Ageless Art. If ink isn't your thing, they have a piercing studio as well. Visit agelessartclarksville.com to see some frequently asked questions, meet the staff. The shop is open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m., all appointment-only spots. You can set up your appointments by phone at 812-283-1793 or email agelessarttattooandpiercing@gmail.com and someone will get you set up for your first or your next tattoo or piercing. Hey metalheads, after going to a rager, what's your ultimate go-to? Mine is totally pizza. So when Overload is playing or I'm promoting the Metal Forge live showcases or the big goddamn metal show, I go to Pizza Donisi. Pizza Donisi is gourmet artisan pizza from right here in Louisville, Kentucky. It features things like the pizza of the month, the sandwiches, and also vegetarian and vegan options, which is so totally fucking cool for all of it's awesome pizza. You definitely want to go. Hey, and also from time to time they do cannolis. Oh, so fucking good. You know what they said, man? Leave the gun, take the cannoli. Yeah, just like that in Godfather. They're located right next to the Mag Bar at 1396 South 2nd Street, so either stop in or call in at 502-213-0488. They're open till midnight. The witching hour.
Heineken! Fuck that shit! Pabst Blue Ribbon!
Hey metalheads, you all hear me talk about Mag Bar all the time. It is the home to the Metal Forge live showcases and is an integral stop in the ultimate underground metal tour schedule. They obviously feature live music, but the Mag Bar also has daily specials like Pint and Slice Night on Tuesdays with Pizza Donisi. But they also do Bring Your Own Vinyl on Thursdays with DJ Kent Jackson, and Finer Things Sundays. Located right next to Pizza Donisi at 1398 South 2nd Street, open 3 p.m. to 4 a.m. 7 days a week. Get your asses out to the Mag Bar. Rock out. For 45 years and keeping Louisville weird, Electric Ladyland has been there for all your eccentricities. While they do offer the best smoking supplies out on the market today, there's a whole lot more to check out. From ashtrays and blacklight posters, to records, incense and burners, and items to stock your metaphysical supply. They're open from 10 to 10, 7 days a week. Located at 2325 Bardstown Road in Louisville, Kentucky, and at electricladyland420.com. Roll out. In 2017, one man's vision and passion for all things metal started out as a record store in his house. Years later, the fight against a mainstream empire continues as Shade Beast. An independent metal collective and online store based in Athens, Georgia, is the world's premier heavy metal brand for music heads that value authenticity over the mainstream acceptance. Featuring original t-shirts from some of the best underground artists, as well as stickers, posters from the Shade Beast Presents concert series. Unique, one-of-a-kind collectibles and small curated selection of vinyl and cassettes from the masters old and new. Visit shadebeast.com and enter promo code SithLord for free domestic shipping on your first order, whether you're a new customer or returning. And be sure to join the Shade Beast social groups on Facebook and the interwebs to keep up with the new release announcements and talk all things metal and Star Wars. You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and filth.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Since 2013, there has been a calling from the underground, from the graves of all those unholy, and they decided to make a zine to talk about all of this. Soul Grinder Zine! An independent metal zine to keep you informed on all things metal and horror from the underground. Available in both print and digital formats, they're bringing you the best interviews and reviews out there today. Not only do they do the zine, but they also do compilation CDs. Check them out at facebook.com/soulgrinder.zine and start your subscription now. Hey everybody, let me tell you about the new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Unchained Tapes. They're an independent Pennsylvania tape label. They focus on extreme metal and punk with a killer approach to the tape scene. Visit their web store at unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com now to get your fill of tapes. And for being a Metal Forge listener, enter the code METALFORGE10 at checkout to get a 10% discount on your total purchase. That's unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com.
What's up, Metal Forge fans? This is Alan Bishop, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest and head distiller at Spirits of French Lick. Do you find yourself drawn to the unexplained, fascinated by the Fortean, or enchanted by the paranormal? If the things that go bump in the night resonate in your mind, then tune into my brand new podcast, If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. Featuring first-hand accounts, collected stories, interviews, history, and speculation related to all things not of this world. Available now on Anchor, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and more. Set back, relax, and remember, if you have ghosts, you have everything.
Hey, let me tell you guys about Mercenary Press. They're an independent London label and distributor of all things metal. Mercenary Press delivers the goods from their own independent zine. Trust me, you're going to want to get in on that. To distributing various bands from all over the world, including Cramp from Spain and Sadistic Force from Texas. Visit mercenarypress.bigcartel.com to find out what all they have in stock and what you can order. And for Metal Forge listeners, enter code MetalForge10 to receive a discount on your total purchase at mercenarypress.bigcartel.com. Check it out now. Hey Metalheads, it's with great pleasure I get to tell you guys about a new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Ageless Art, New Albany. After 20 years of owning and operating Ageless Art in Clarksville, Indiana, Phil Garrett had a vision for a new type of tattoo studio. Something that is clean and modern, sleek, refined, inviting. And he's done just that with Ageless Art in New Albany. You can find it at 2736 Charlestown Road, New Albany, Indiana, 47150. Business hours are Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sundays are 12 to 6. All sessions are appointment only, so give them a call and go get you some new ink. Or if it's your first time, go get your first one, baby.
In a broken wasteland, come to my fire and place your blood and steel upon